Ricardo parked his luxury car at the entrance of the mansion, exhausted after the 12-hour flight from Europe. He hadn't told anyone about his early return. He wanted to surprise his daughter, Maria. He had been away for 3 weeks closing important deals, but missing his little girl was eating him up inside. He grabbed his bags from the trunk and walked to the front door, keying in the security code with a smile on his face, imagining his daughter's reaction when she saw him. Upon entering, Ricardo noticed a strange silence. Normally, even with Maria at school, there would be the sound of the cleaning crew or the housekeeper tidying up. He left his bags in the entrance hall and walked towards the staircase when he heard a buzzing sound coming from the second floor. He frowned, confused. It sounded like an electric razor. "Maria! Anyone home?" he called out, climbing the steps quickly. The sound was coming from Maria's room. The door was ajar, and Ricardo felt his heart quicken. Something was wrong. Maria should have been at school at this hour. He pushed the door open slowly, and the scene he witnessed made his blood run cold. In the middle of the room, sitting on a chair, was Camilla, the cleaner he had hired just 3 months ago. Her head was bowed as she ran a hair clipper over her own scalp. Around her, on the floor, locks of dark brown hair formed a carpet, and next to her, with wide, surprised eyes, was Maria, his 9-year-old daughter, completely bald, holding a colorful scarf in her hands. "What in the world is going on here?" Ricardo thundered, his face red with rage. "What do you think you're doing to my daughter?" Camilla lifted her face, startled. Her eyes were red and swollen from crying. The clipper fell from her hand, hitting the floor with a clatter. "Daddy!" Maria cried, running to hug him. "You're back." Ricardo hugged his daughter automatically, but his eyes never left Camilla. The young woman looked terrified, with half of her head already shaved and the other half still covered in hair. She was trembling visibly. "Mr. Ricardo, I can explain," Camilla began, her voice faltering. "Explain? Explain what? Why is my daughter bald? Why are you cutting your hair in her room? Why isn't Maria in school?" The questions shot from Ricardo's mouth like bullets. Maria pulled away from her father and held his hand tightly. "Daddy, don't be mad at Camilla. She's doing this for me." Ricardo looked at his daughter, confused. It was then that he noticed something he hadn't before. Maria was paler, thinner. Her eyes seemed larger in her delicate face, and there was a fragility about her that hadn't been there 3 weeks ago. "What's going on?" "Maria, why aren't you in school?" he asked, kneeling to be at her level. Maria looked down, nervously fiddling with the colorful scarf in her hands. "I got sick, Daddy. Really sick." Camilla slowly stood up, pulling a hoodie over her partially shaved head. "Mr. Ricardo, I think we need to talk. A lot has happened while you were away." Ricardo felt a lump form in his throat. Something was very wrong. He looked at the cleaner, at his daughter, at the hair on the floor, and felt as if the world were collapsing around him. "Maria has leukemia, sir," Camilla said, the words coming out as a painful whisper. "We found out 2 weeks ago. She started chemotherapy 5 days ago, and the hair started falling out yesterday." Ricardo felt his legs grow weak. Leukemia, his little Maria. Impossible. It had to be a nightmare. He had spoken with the housekeeper every day, and she had never mentioned anything about Maria being sick. "I tried to call you," Camilla continued, "but your assistant said you were in important meetings and couldn't be disturbed. The housekeeper is at the hospital with her mother who suffered a stroke, and I've been taking care of Maria." Ricardo looked at his daughter, who now had tears in her eyes. "It's true, Daddy. Camilla has been sleeping here to take care of me. She takes me to the hospital every day and stays with me during chemo." "But why are you shaving your head?" Ricardo asked, still trying to process everything. Maria smiled, a sad smile that broke Ricardo's heart. "Because I asked her to. I was so sad watching my hair fall out, and Camilla said she would shave hers too, so I wouldn't feel alone." Ricardo felt a knot in his throat. He looked at Camilla with new eyes now, seeing not a cleaner, but a young woman willing to sacrifice her appearance for his daughter. A wave of guilt washed over him. He was on the other side of the ocean, closing deals, while his only child was fighting a terrible disease. "Why didn't anyone tell me?" he asked, his voice thick with contained emotion. Camilla took a deep breath before answering. "Your assistant, Vanessa, said she would handle it. She assured me you would be informed immediately." Camilla hesitated, biting her lower lip. "But when we didn't hear from you, I called again, but she said you were aware and had decided to finish your business trip first, that you would return on the scheduled date." Ricardo's blood boiled. Vanessa had lied. She had deliberately hidden Maria's illness, knowing he would drop everything to be by his daughter's side. But why? What reason could she have for doing something so cruel? "Daddy, don't be mad at Camilla," Maria pleaded, her little eyes shining with tears. "She's been my guardian angel. When my hair started falling out last night, I cried so much. I was afraid the kids at school would make fun of me." She paused, stroking the colorful scarf. "That's when Camilla promised she would shave her head too, to show me that I'm beautiful no matter what." Ricardo knelt and hugged his daughter tightly, finally letting the tears fall. "My love, forgive me for not being here. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know." Over Maria's shoulder, he looked at Camilla, who stood uncomfortably with her partially shaved head. "Thank you," he murmured to her, words that felt inadequate for what she had done. Camilla just nodded, her eyes also welling up. "I just did what anyone would do, sir." But Ricardo knew that wasn't true. Not just anyone would give up their hair for a child that wasn't theirs. Not just anyone would take on the responsibility of caring for a girl with cancer while her father was away. "Let's finish this," Maria said, pulling away from her father and picking up the clipper from the floor. "Camilla is looking funny with half a haircut." Despite the situation, Ricardo couldn't help but smile. Even when sick, his daughter maintained that cheerful spirit that had always enchanted him. "Can I help?" he asked. Camilla seemed surprised by the offer. "You want to help me shave my head? It's the least I can do," Ricardo replied. "You've both been so brave." As they finished shaving Camilla's hair, Ricardo knew his life had changed forever, not just because of Maria's devastating diagnosis, but also because of the revelation of who truly cared for his daughter. Later that night, after putting Maria to bed, Ricardo found Camilla in the kitchen, preparing some soup. She had tied a colorful scarf around her head, matching the one Maria was wearing. "We need to talk about her treatment," Ricardo said, sitting at the kitchen table. "I want to know everything, the doctors, the medications, the routine." Camilla nodded, sitting across from him. "Dr. Mendez is the oncologist. He's very good, has one of the best recovery rates in cases like Maria's." She paused. "The chemotherapy is strong, but Maria has been responding well so far. She gets tired, sometimes she's nauseous, but she's a warrior." "How do you know so much about this?" Ricardo asked, genuinely curious. Camilla's eyes filled with tears. "My younger sister had leukemia when I was 15. I spent 2 years going in and out of hospitals with her and my mom." She took a deep breath. She made a full recovery. "Today, she's 18 and doing great." Ricardo felt an immediate connection to Camilla's story. She wasn't just taking care of Maria. She truly understood what the girl was going through. "Why didn't you tell me you were a cleaner when we met?" Ricardo asked, remembering the day he hired her, believing she was just a student doing odd jobs. Camilla looked down. "I really needed the job, sir. I'm studying nursing, but the tuition is expensive. When I heard you were looking for someone to clean the house 3 times a week, I saw the perfect opportunity to balance it with my studies." Ricardo nodded, understanding. He himself had come from humble beginnings, though few knew that now. He had built his empire from scratch and knew the value of hard work and determination. "From now on, you are no longer the cleaner of this house," Ricardo declared, his voice firm. Camilla's face paled. "Are you firing me?" I know I shouldn't have made decisions about Maria without your permission, but I just wanted to help and— I'm not firing you, Ricardo interrupted. I'm promoting you. I want you to be Maria's official caregiver during her treatment. Your nursing knowledge and your personal experience with the disease are exactly what my daughter needs right now. Camilla's eyes widened in surprise. But, sir, it's not charity, Ricardo completed, guessing her thoughts. It's a practical decision. You've already earned Maria's trust. You know the treatment routine, and you have the necessary technical knowledge. I'll pay you a fair salary, commensurate with your new responsibilities. Camilla didn't know what to say. This opportunity meant not only a better salary, but also the chance to use her knowledge to help Maria, for whom she had already developed a special affection. What neither of them knew, as they talked in the kitchen, was that Vanessa, Ricardo's assistant, had just received a message informing her of her boss's early return, and she was not at all happy about this news. The next morning, Ricardo woke up early. He had slept poorly, tormented by nightmares where Maria was calling for him and he couldn't reach her. He got up and went straight to his daughter's room, needing to confirm that she was okay. He found her sleeping peacefully, the colorful scarf still tied around her head. Beside her, in an armchair used as a makeshift bed, Camilla was also asleep, a storybook fallen on her lap. Ricardo watched the scene for a few moments, feeling a mixture of gratitude and guilt. He closed the door silently and went down to the kitchen. He needed to organize his thoughts and plan his next steps. Maria was his priority now. Business would have to wait. He was making coffee when his cell phone rang. It was Vanessa. Ricardo, what a surprise to hear you're back early. Why didn't you tell me? I would have prepared everything for your arrival, she said, her honeyed voice hiding the panic she felt. We need to talk, Vanessa. In person. Come to my house in an hour, he replied curtly, hanging up before she could respond. Exactly 1 hour later, the doorbell rang. Ricardo opened the door to find Vanessa impeccably dressed, as always, with a rehearsed smile on her face. But he knew that smile all too well. It was the same one she used when she needed to hide something. Ricardo, darling, I missed you so much, she exclaimed, trying to hug him. He stepped back, keeping his distance. Come in, Vanessa. Let's talk in my office. Her smile faltered for a moment, but she quickly composed herself. As they walked down the hall, Vanessa noticed the colorful scarves hanging on the staircase railing and frowned. What are these scarves? Did you redecorate? She asked, trying to sound casual. Ricardo didn't answer. He opened the office door and gestured for her to enter. He closed the door behind them and got straight to the point. Why did you hide from me that my daughter has leukemia? Vanessa's face went white, but she quickly tried to recover. What are you talking about? Maria is sick. My God, I had no idea. Don't lie to me, Ricardo thundered, slamming his fist on the desk. Camilla told me everything. She tried to contact me several times, and you said I was too busy. You deliberately hid my daughter's illness. Vanessa realized there was no way to deny it. She changed tactics. Ricardo, I was just trying to protect you. Those negotiations in Europe were crucial for the company. If you had known about Maria, you would have dropped everything and rushed back. Millions would have been at risk. So what? He yelled, furious. We're talking about my daughter, my only daughter. Do you think any business deal is more important than her? Vanessa moved closer, trying to touch his arm. I was going to tell you as soon as you got back. I knew the housekeeper and that cleaner were taking good care of her. It was nothing that couldn't wait a few more days. Ricardo stared at her, incredulous. In that moment, he saw Vanessa for who she really was, a cold, calculating woman who put money and power above everything, even the life of a child. You're fired, he said, his voice low and controlled. I want you to clear out your desk today and never come near my family again. Vanessa's eyes widened, shocked. You can't do this. We've worked together for 8 years. I built this company with you. You worked for me, not with me, Ricardo corrected. And yes, I can and I will do this. Now get out of my house before I call security. At that moment, the office door opened slowly. Maria was standing there in her colorful scarf, looking scared at the two of them. "Daddy, why are you yelling?" she asked in a weak voice. Ricardo immediately softened his expression and went to his daughter. "It's nothing, Princess. Vanessa was just leaving." Vanessa looked at Maria, noticing for the first time the scarf covering her bald head and the paleness of her face. For a second, she seemed to feel remorse, but then her eyes narrowed as she saw Camilla appear behind the girl. "It was you, wasn't it?" Vanessa hissed at Camilla. "You poisoned Ricardo against me." Camilla remained calm, placing her hands protectively on Maria's shoulders. "I only told the truth, Mrs. Vanessa, Mr. Ricardo had the right to know about his daughter's illness." Vanessa laughed, a cold, calculated laugh. "Oh, I get it now. The clever little cleaner saw a golden opportunity, didn't she? Taking care of the rich boss's sick daughter, winning his trust, even shaving her head to look supportive. How moving." Ricardo stepped forward, placing himself between Vanessa and the two of them. "Enough. Get out of my house now." Vanessa grabbed her purse, but before leaving, she shot one last venomous look at Camilla. "This isn't over. You don't know who you're messing with. Cleaner." After Vanessa left, Ricardo knelt before Maria. "It's okay, my love. Vanessa was just a little upset." Maria nodded, but her eyes showed she had understood more than her father realized. "She doesn't like Camilla, does she? Is it because Camilla told me about the cancer?" Ricardo exchanged a look with Camilla, surprised by his daughter's perceptiveness. "Yes, sweetie. Sometimes adults get upset when someone tells a truth they wanted to hide." "But the truth is always better, isn't it, Daddy?" Maria asked, with the wisdom that only children facing serious illnesses seem to possess. "Always, my love, always." That afternoon, Ricardo accompanied Maria and Camilla to the hospital for her chemotherapy session. He felt his heart ache, seeing his little girl sitting in the chair, with needles and tubes connected to her fragile body. But he was also amazed by her strength. Maria chatted animatedly with the nurses, proudly showed off her matching scarf with Camilla's, and even made friends with other children in treatment. "She's incredible," commented Dr. Mendez, who approached Ricardo as he watched his daughter. She has an inner strength that many adults don't possess." "What are her chances, doctor?" Ricardo asked, his voice betraying the fear he felt. The doctor placed a hand on his shoulder. "The type of leukemia Maria has responds well to treatment, especially in children. The chances are good, Mr. Ricardo, but it will be a long and difficult battle." Ricardo nodded, determined. "We'll do whatever it takes. If there are experimental treatments, specialists abroad, anything that can help. For now, the standard protocol is the most indicated," the doctor explained. "But it's good to know we have extra resources if we need them." He paused, looking at Camilla, who was reading a story to Maria. "That young woman has been extraordinary. She knows the medications, the side effects, knows exactly how to calm Maria during the more difficult procedures. You're lucky to have her." Ricardo followed the doctor's gaze. "Yes, we are very lucky." What Ricardo didn't know was that, at that very moment, Vanessa was in her office at the company, digging into Camilla's past, determined to find something, anything, she could use against the young woman who had ruined her plans. "You're going to regret crossing me, little cleaner," she muttered to herself, typing furiously on the computer. "No one crosses Vanessa Mendonça and gets away with it." 3 days had passed since the confrontation with Vanessa. Ricardo's mansion had transformed into a welcoming sanctuary for Maria. Camilla reorganized the medication schedules, created a special space in the living room for days when the girl felt too weak to climb the stairs, and filled the house with colorful scarves and positive drawings. Ricardo watched it all with a mixture of admiration and gratitude. That morning, while working in his home office, he heard laughter coming from the garden. He approached the window and saw Camilla and Maria painting colorful stones to create a garden of hope, as they called it. "One stone for each day of treatment we beat," Camilla explained, helping Maria paint a stone sky blue. "And when the treatment is over, we'll have the most beautiful garden in the world." Ricardo smiled, but his moment of peace was interrupted by the phone ringing. It was his lawyer, Carlos. "Ricardo, we need to talk about something serious," Carlos said, his voice tense. "Vanessa has filed a lawsuit against the company, alleging wrongful termination and workplace harassment." Ricardo felt his blood boil. "She has the nerve, after what she did to my daughter." "There's more," Carlos continued. "She's spreading rumors at the company about you and your daughter's new caregiver. Insinuations that you hired her for personal reasons, if you catch my drift." Ricardo closed his eyes, trying to control his anger. Vanessa was playing dirty, as always. "Ignore the rumors, Carlos. Focus on the lawsuit. We're going to countersue for professional negligence. She deliberately withheld information about my daughter's health, placing financial interests above the well-being of a child." After hanging up, Ricardo remained thoughtful. He didn't want Camilla to know about the rumors. She was already doing so much for Maria. She didn't deserve this kind of low blow. But he knew that, at some point, he would have to tell her. The opportunity arose that night, after Maria had fallen asleep. Camilla was in the kitchen, preparing herbal teas to help with the side effects of chemotherapy. "Camilla, we need to talk," Ricardo said, sitting at the table. She turned, worried. "Did something happen with Maria's tests? Did Dr. Mendez call?" "No, it's not about Maria. It's about Vanessa." Ricardo explained about the lawsuit and the rumors, watching Camilla's face shift from surprise to indignation, and finally to sadness. "I'm so sorry for causing you trouble," she said, looking down. "Maybe it's better if I step away for a while until everything calms down." "Absolutely not," Ricardo replied firmly. "Maria needs you. We need you. I'm not going to let Vanessa manipulate us." Camilla looked up, surprised by the intensity in his voice. For a moment, they were silent, just looking at each other. "Thank you for trusting me," she said finally. "I promise I won't let you down." The next morning, while Camilla was taking Maria for another chemotherapy session, Ricardo received an unexpected call. It was Marta, the housekeeper who had taken leave to care for her sick mother. "Mr. Ricardo, I need to warn you about something," Marta said, her voice urgent. "Vanessa approached me yesterday, offering me money to testify against Camilla." "What?" Ricardo exclaimed, shocked. "She wanted me to say that I caught Camilla going through your personal documents, or stealing jewelry, anything that could incriminate her," Marta continued. "Obviously, I refused. I haven't known Camilla for long, but I know she's a good girl. What she's done for Maria is proof of that." Ricardo thanked Marta for the warning and hung up, feeling disgusted by Vanessa's tactics, but he was also relieved to have loyal people around him. Meanwhile, at the hospital, Camilla was helping Maria get settled in the chemotherapy chair when she noticed an elegant woman watching them from a distance. The woman seemed out of place in the pediatric oncology ward, with her impeccable suit and high heels. "Who's that lady?" "Camilla," Maria asked, following her caregiver's gaze. "I don't know, sweetie. Probably the mother of a new child in treatment," Camilla replied, although she felt something strange about the way the woman was watching them. Minutes later, while Maria was distracted talking to another child, the woman approached Camilla. "You're Camilla Silva, aren't you?" she asked, extending her hand. "I'm Deborah Mendez, a journalist. I'd like to talk to you about an important matter." Camilla hesitated before shaking the offered hand. "How do you know my name? And what is a journalist doing here?" Deborah smiled, a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "I'm doing a story on caregivers for children with cancer. I heard you have an inspiring story, a nursing student who shaves her own head in solidarity with her boss's daughter." Something in the woman's tone made Camilla uncomfortable. "I'm sorry." But I'm not interested in interviews, and I'd prefer you not to mention Maria in any story. She deserves her privacy." Deborah's smile vanished. "I understand your concern for privacy, especially considering your past." Camilla felt a chill run down her spine. "What are you talking about?" Deborah leaned in, lowering her voice. "I know about the incident at the medical school 3 years ago. The one that made you drop out and start nursing at a smaller college." Camilla's blood ran cold. How did this woman know about that? It was something she had buried in her past, something too painful to remember. "I don't know what you're talking about," she replied, trying to keep her voice steady. "Of course you do," Deborah insisted. "The question is, does Mr. Ricardo know? Would he trust his sick daughter to someone with your history?" In that moment, Camilla understood everything. "Vanessa sent you, didn't she?" Deborah shrugged, not denying it. "Let's just say I have a source who's interested in revealing the truth about you. But we can come to an agreement. Walk away from the Almeida family voluntarily, and your secret stays safe." Camilla looked at Maria, who was waving happily at her from across the room. She felt tears burn her eyes, but she held them back. "Tell your source that I'm not afraid of her," she replied, staring Deborah down. "And if you want to publish something about me, go ahead. I have nothing to hide from Mr. Ricardo." Deborah seemed surprised by the response. She had expected intimidation, not courage. "You'll regret this decision," she threatened before walking away. When they got home, Maria was exhausted from the chemo and fell asleep quickly. Camilla, however, couldn't rest. Deborah's words echoed in her mind. She knew she had to tell Ricardo about her past before Vanessa did, distorting the facts. She found him in his office, working on some documents. She knocked lightly on the ajar door. "Mr. Ricardo, can I talk to you for a minute?" He looked up, smiling when he saw her. "Of course, Camilla, and I've already asked you to just call me Ricardo." She entered, nervous, wringing her hands. "And I need to tell you something about my past, something Vanessa has found out and is using to threaten me." Ricardo closed his laptop and gestured to the chair in front of him. "Sit down, Camilla. What's going on?" Camilla took a deep breath, gathering her courage. "Today at the hospital, a journalist approached me. She knew about an incident from my past, something that happened 3 years ago when I was studying medicine." Ricardo frowned, concerned by the evident anguish on her face. "What incident?" "I was in my 2nd year of medical school," Camilla began, her voice trembling. "I was one of the top students in my class, on a full scholarship. My dream was to become a pediatric oncologist, because of my sister, who survived leukemia." She paused, swallowing hard. "There was a professor, Dr. Mendonça, head of the oncology department. He was brilliant, respected by everyone. I started doing research in his lab, staying late to study. At first, he seemed only interested in my academic potential." Ricardo began to see where the story was going, and he felt his stomach sink. Over time, he started making inappropriate comments, touching my shoulder, my arm. I tried to ignore it, focusing only on my studies, until one day when we were alone in the lab, he tried to kiss me by force. Tears were streaming down Camilla's face now, and as I pushed him away and ran. The next day, I gathered my courage and reported him to the dean's office. That's when the nightmare really began. "What happened?" Ricardo asked, his voice gentle. "Dr. Mendonça was married to the dean's daughter. He denied everything, said I was making up the story because I'd gotten a bad grade on a test. Suddenly, other professors started treating me differently. My grades mysteriously dropped. Classmates who were once my friends started avoiding me." Camilla wiped her tears with the back of her hand. "His wife, Vanessa Mendonça, came to me one day. She said I had ruined her husband's reputation with lies and that she would do the same to me." Ricardo felt as if he had been punched. "Vanessa Mendonça, my former assistant." Camilla nodded, surprised. "Yes, I didn't know her last name when I started working here." I only found out when I saw her in person, but by then I was already taking care of Maria and didn't want to cause trouble. My God, Camilla, Ricardo murmured, running a hand over his face. Why didn't you tell me sooner? I was ashamed and afraid. After what happened, I had to drop out of medicine. No one believed me. I lost my scholarship, my friends, my dream. I started nursing at another, more modest college, trying to rebuild my life. When I saw Vanessa here, I panicked, but I thought maybe she wouldn't recognize me. I was wrong. Ricardo got up and walked to the window, trying to process it all. Now he understood Vanessa's obsession with destroying Camilla. It wasn't just about being fired, it was a personal vendetta that went back much further. The journalist said Vanessa is going to tell a twisted version of the story, Camilla continued. She'll say I was expelled for academic dishonesty, that I made up the harassment story to get revenge on the professor. I would understand if you didn't want me to take care of Maria anymore. Ricardo turned, his face determined. Camilla, I believe you, and I'm not going to let Vanessa destroy your life again. Her eyes widened in surprise. You believe me? Just like that? Without proof? I've known Vanessa for years. I know what she's capable of when she feels threatened. And I've seen how you care for my daughter, how you genuinely care about her. That tells me everything I need to know about your character. Camilla couldn't hold back her tears, but this time they were of relief. Thank you, she whispered. Ricardo moved closer and, in an impulsive gesture, took her hands. We're going to face this together. Vanessa is not going to win this time. The next morning, Ricardo called an emergency meeting with his lawyer and the company's head of security. He explained the situation and gave clear instructions. He wanted a full investigation into Dr. Mendonça and the harassment case at the medical school. There must be other victims, Ricardo explained. Men like him rarely stop at the first one. I want you to find these women, if they exist, and see if any of them are willing to talk. Meanwhile, at home, Camilla tried to maintain a sense of normalcy for Maria. The girl was having a good day, with less nausea and more energy. They were in the garden, watering the plants, when Camilla's phone rang. It was an unknown number. Hello, she answered, hesitant. Camilla Silva, this is Ana Luisa Ferreira. You don't know me, but I was also a victim of Dr. Mendonça. Camilla felt her legs go weak and sat down on the garden bench. How did you get my number? A private investigator contacted me. He said he's gathering evidence against Dr. Mendonça and Vanessa. He mentioned your name, and I had to talk to you, to know I'm not alone. Silent tears streamed down Camilla's face. After 3 years, someone finally believed her. No, Ana Luisa, you are not alone. In the days that followed, 2 more former students got in touch, all with similar stories, all silenced by fear and the influence of Dr. Mendonça and his wife, Vanessa. A week later, Ricardo received a call from Carlos, his lawyer. We have enough, Ricardo. 4 victims willing to testify, including Camilla. And we found compromising emails on the university's server. Dr. Mendonça was aware of the accusations against him, and Vanessa helped cover it all up. Ricardo smiled, satisfied. Excellent. Prepare the documents. We're going to countersue Vanessa for defamation and present this evidence. And I want you to contact the medical school. It's time they reviewed Camilla's case. That night, during dinner, Ricardo watched Maria and Camilla talking animatedly about a book they were reading together. His daughter seemed stronger, happier, despite her illness, and much of that was due to the young woman sitting beside her, who had faced so much injustice and still maintained an open and generous heart. I have a surprise for you two, Ricardo announced. Dr. Mendez called today. Maria's latest tests show that she's responding very well to the treatment. The cancer cells have decreased significantly. Maria let out a cry of joy and hugged Camilla, who was also smiling with emotion. "And there's more," Ricardo continued, looking directly at Camilla. "Oh, I received a call from the medical school. They're reopening your case, Camilla. With the new evidence, Dr. Mendonça has been suspended and there will be a formal investigation." Camilla covered her mouth with her hands, unable to believe it. How did you do that?" Ricardo smiled. "Let's just say I have a few connections. And when powerful people use their influence for good, miracles happen." "What does that mean, Daddy?" Maria asked, confused. "It means, my love, that sometimes justice is slow, but it arrives, and that good people like Camilla deserve a second chance." What none of them knew was that, at that very moment, Vanessa was receiving a visit at her home from 2 police officers. The empire of lies she and her husband had built was crumbling, and this time there would be no escaping the consequences. 2 weeks had passed since the night Ricardo announced the good news. Life in the mansion had found a new rhythm, centered on Maria's treatment and the growing closeness between the 3 of them. Mornings were dedicated to Maria's adapted studies. Afternoons were often filled with hospital visits, and evenings were reserved for family time, watching movies, reading stories, or simply talking about the day. On that Thursday morning, Ricardo was having coffee while reading the newspaper. A small article in the news section caught his eye. "Former medical professor suspended after multiple harassment allegations." The article didn't mention names, but Ricardo knew exactly who it was about. Camilla entered the kitchen, already dressed to take Maria to the hospital for another chemo session. In the last few days, she seemed different, lighter, as if a weight had been lifted from her shoulders. "Good morning," she greeted with a smile. "Maria is almost ready. She said she wants to wear the blue scarf today, to match the sky." Ricardo smiled, folding the newspaper. "Camilla, did you see this?" He pushed the paper towards her. She read the article quickly, her eyes widening. "So it's official. He's been suspended. And that's just the beginning," Ricardo said. "Carlos called me last night. The police are investigating other cases. It seems Dr. Mendonça had a pattern of behavior that extended beyond the university." Camilla sat down, taking in the news. "And Vanessa. She's under investigation for obstruction of justice and witness intimidation. The lawsuit she filed against me has been dropped, obviously." Ricardo paused, watching Camilla's face. "How do you feel?" She reflected for a moment, relieved, vindicated, but mostly at peace. "For 3 years, I carried this guilt that wasn't mine. Now I can finally move on." "Daddy! Camilla! Look at my new scarf!" Maria exclaimed, entering the kitchen with a sky-blue scarf tied around her head. Despite the paleness and thinness caused by the treatment, her eyes shone with a contagious energy. "You look beautiful, princess," Ricardo said, hugging his daughter. "Matching the sky, just like you wanted," Camilla added, gently adjusting the scarf. Maria looked from one to the other. "With that sharp perception that children sometimes have? You were talking about grown-up stuff, weren't you? Serious stuff." Ricardo and Camilla exchanged a glance. "Yes, sweetie," Ricardo replied. "But good things. Justice being served." Maria nodded, as if she understood perfectly. "Like in the books Camilla reads to me, in the end, the good guys always win." On the way to the hospital, Ricardo drove while Camilla and Maria sang songs in the back seat. Watching them in the rearview mirror, he felt a wave of gratitude. Despite Maria's illness, despite everything they had been through in the past few weeks, there was a feeling of family, a feeling he hadn't experienced since his wife's death 5 years earlier. At the hospital, while Maria was receiving her chemo, Dr. Mendes called Ricardo and Camilla into his office for a chat. "The results continue to be promising," the doctor said, showing them the latest tests. "Maria's response to the treatment is above expectations. If this continues, we may be able to reduce the intensity of the chemotherapy in the coming weeks." Ricardo felt a lump in his throat. "Does that mean?" It means we're on the right track, the doctor completed, cautious but optimistic. We still have a long road ahead, but the signs are very positive. Camilla, sitting next to Ricardo, couldn't hold back her tears. She's so strong, she murmured. And she has an excellent support system, the doctor added, looking at the two of them. That makes all the difference in treatment. As they left the office, Ricardo impulsively took Camilla's hand. Thank you, he said simply. She looked at their joined hands, surprised, but didn't pull away. For what? For everything. For taking care of Maria as if she were your own daughter. For facing your past with such courage. For coming into our lives. Camilla felt her heart race. In the last few days, something had shifted between them. Small gestures, glances that lingered a bit too long, late-night conversations after Maria fell asleep. She had tried to ignore it, convincing herself it was just gratitude on his part. Nothing more. Ricardo, Before she could continue, they were interrupted by a nurse. Mr. Almeida, Maria is asking for you. The moment passed, but something had changed. An invisible line had been crossed. That night, after putting Maria to bed, Camilla went out to the mansion's back porch. She needed fresh air, time to organize her thoughts. The stars shone brightly in the dark sky, and she allowed herself a moment of contemplation. May I join you? She turned to find Ricardo standing in the doorway, holding 2 cups of tea. Of course, she replied, accepting the cup he offered. They stood in silence for a few minutes, just watching the starry sky. The medical school contacted me today, Camilla said finally. They want me to return. They offered me a full scholarship to complete my medical degree as part of a reparations settlement. Ricardo felt a tightness in his chest. That's wonderful, Camilla. You deserve this second chance. Yes, but she hesitated, looking at the cup in her hands. It would mean leaving you. Leaving Maria in the middle of her treatment. You don't have to decide now, Ricardo said softly. And whatever you decide, Maria and I will support you. Camilla looked up, meeting his gaze. In the last few months, you two have become my family. I don't know if I can imagine my life without you now. Ricardo put his cup down on the table and moved closer to her. Then don't imagine it. Stay with us, Camilla, not just as Maria's caregiver, but as part of our family. Camilla's heart sped up. What are you saying, Ricardo? He took her hands in his. I'm saying that I've fallen in love with you, Camilla, for your strength, your kindness, your courage. I know it might seem sudden, that maybe you don't feel the same, but Camilla cut him off by gently placing a finger on his lips. I've fallen in love with you too, Ricardo, but I'm scared that it's just gratitude on your part. Or that people will think I got close to you for your money. Ricardo smiled, touching her face tenderly. Let them think whatever they want. We know the truth. And the truth is, you came into our lives when we needed you most, and you turned our pain into hope. Slowly, he leaned in and kissed her. A soft kiss, full of promise. When they parted, Camilla smiled. I think I know my answer for the school. I'll accept the scholarship, but ask to start only after Maria finishes her treatment. My place is here now, with you. Ricardo hugged her, feeling a happiness he hadn't experienced in years. Together, we'll get through this, and then we'll build a new life, the 3 of us. What they didn't realize was that, from the porch door, a small figure in pajamas and a blue scarf was watching them, a radiant smile on her face. Maria quietly went back to her room, happy that her secret wish had come true. Her family was complete again. 6 months later, the mansion's garden was decorated with white and blue flowers. Small lights twinkled in the trees, creating a magical atmosphere in the twilight. In the center, a path of colorful stones, the garden of hope that had grown day by day, led to a small altar. Ricardo waited nervously, adjusting his tie. At his side, Maria, wearing a sky-blue dress and a floral headband in place of her scarf. Her hair had started to grow back, short but healthy, a sign that the battle against cancer was being won. "She looks beautiful, Daddy," Maria whispered, squeezing her father's hand. And then Camilla appeared, radiant in a simple but elegant dress, carrying a bouquet of blue flowers. Her hair, also growing back after being shaved in solidarity with Maria, was adorned with small white flowers. As she walked towards them, Ricardo thought about how life could change in an instant. A year ago, he was a lonely man, focused only on business, distant from his daughter. Now, he was about to start a new chapter, with the woman who had brought light back into his and Maria's lives. The ceremony was simple and emotional. When it came time for the vows, Camilla surprised everyone by first kneeling to Maria's level. "Maria," she said, with tears in her eyes, "before I promise to love your father forever, I want to make a promise to you. I promise to be not just your stepmother, but your friend, your confidant, your partner in all the adventures to come. I promise to honor your mother's memory and never try to replace her, but to create my own special place in your heart. And I promise that, together, we will paint many more stones for our garden of hope, celebrating every victory, big or small." Maria, with tears streaming down her face, hugged Camilla tightly. "I love you, Camilla. Thank you for shaving your hair for me." There wasn't a dry eye among the guests when Camilla finally stood up to exchange vows with Ricardo. Later, during the reception, as the guests danced and celebrated, Ricardo found a moment alone with his new wife. "Happy?" he asked, wrapping his arms around her waist. Camilla looked at Maria, who was dancing joyfully with other children, some also battling cancer, who had become friends at the hospital. "More than I ever imagined possible," she replied, leaning back against his chest. "You know, when I shaved my head that day, I never imagined I was changing my life forever." Ricardo kissed the top of her head. Sometimes, the greatest acts of love seem small at the moment, but their ripples spread out, transforming everything they touch. And as they watched Maria dancing under the twinkling lights, they both knew they had found something rare and precious, a second chance, a new family, forged not by blood, but by love, courage, and the hope that blossoms even in the darkest of times. So, what did you think of this story of love and overcoming adversity? Do you believe that sometimes we need to lose everything to find what truly matters? And if you were in Camilla's shoes, would you have had the courage to shave your hair for a child you barely knew? Let me know in the comments.